What's up YouTube? Got another install video here. Stay tuned to see what it is, as I think this is going to be a game changer. Alright, let's not keep you guys waiting. Let's see what we got in here. Oh, there it is. Got the Arlen Ness Mid controls, Flow mini floorboards, as well as the Flow brake and shifter peg. There's a bunch of different mid control options out there, ranging anywhere from making it at home to, I think these are just a little over 800 bucks, and you can get all the way into the $2,000 range. The reason why I went with Arlen Ness is it isn't an aggressive mid control, and what I mean by that is some of those other brands are really aggressive being back here. Arlen Ness is going to kind of put your center point right around here. So you're still kind of getting the best of both worlds as far as having your legs a little far forward to still kind of stretch a little bit, so to speak, as well as having that mid-control type feel of having your feet underneath you a little more. Nothing against the ones that are more towards the back. I just don't know if it's kind of dabbling in the more of the leader bikes, crotch rocket type feel, at least from the photos I'm seeing. Again, you know, I'm not speaking from experience, I'm just speaking from simply looking at photos and whatnot online. And I also felt that for whatever reason, if I didn't like these mid controls, yeah, 800 bucks, 900 bucks is a lot of money, don't get me wrong. So I'd be out that money. Obviously I could sell them, but it would be a hard pill to swallow if I was $2,000 out and I didn't like them. So I'm gonna get these out of the wrapper, let you guys see them a little closer, and we'll go from there. There's all the stuff out of the packages. Quality looks great. Finish looks great. I like the fact that these floorboards are fully adjustable. So there's a couple concerns out there as far as the mid controls go. The biggest one that I've seen was the shifter arm not having any up and down adjustment as far as the arm goes. People are saying that if you have a bigger foot or a big boot on, it's harder to get your foot under there to shift. And they were saying it potentially has something to do with the shifter linkage, the one with the hind joints on it, not being long enough to actually make that adjustment to raise the shifter up to be able to get your foot under there. So if I do need to make any kind of adjustments or modifications, I will definitely keep you guys updated on that. All right, let's get the install going. So I'm gonna hit on the tools that are needed to install this exact setup on a 2020 Road Glide Special, removing the stock setup. Anything outside of that, I can't promise you that what I tell you as far as the tools go is gonna be correct or not. All right, here's some of the tools to get you started. I'm sure I'm missing some and I'll add them in the video as I go through. Starting with a flathead, some good needle nose, an H8 Allen, as well as a 3/16, some Loctite, a ratchet. Like I said, I'm sure I'm missing some, but we'll kind of add them as we go. All right, starting with the right side, got these big Allens down here to remove the stock floorboard. Go ahead and get those. Alright, after the right side floorboard, you gotta get the brake arm off, and you're gonna need a 5/8 socket. Go ahead and take that off. On the rear brake master cylinder, there's a plunger that's connecting to the rear brake arm, and there's a pin in there. I'm not sure if you guys are seeing it, but on the back of the arm, where you can see the Allen pointing to, there's a little pin right there, a cotter pin, that's connected to the plunger going into the rear master cylinder that is also connected to this brake arm. So you have to get that pin out to allow that plunger to slide out of the pivot arm here that's connected to the brake arm. So it's a little hard to show you guys, but you'll see it once I get it out. Yeah, this is definitely a pain in the butt, not taking the exhaust off, so maybe consider that when you're doing yours. I've got a Bassani full length pipe. That's gonna be a big factor too, as far as what exhaust you have. You can't get really aggressive with this kind of stuff because you can bend your brake plunger and things like that, so keep all that in mind when you're down here horsing on stuff. Gotta do some cleaning up. I gotta clean these threads. There's a bunch of Loctite in there. Share the sizes with you when I get to it. Those threads are gonna be a 5/16 by 18. So go ahead and give those a quick chase. The 2 bolts that held the floorboard on, those are going to be a 3/8 by 16 thread chase. Alright, so I'll go ahead and clean the pivot shaft here that's permanently fixed to the bike. There's an O-ring there. I don't know if you can see that. I already took it off and cleaned it and then re-greased it. You're gonna grab your pivot arm, and based on my exhaust, clears it just barely. You're gonna want the mounting point right here to go in first, obviously, because that's where your plunger is gonna mount. All right, to make things easier, there's this little coarse screw here. It houses the hard brake line as well as like the O2 sensor line and whatnot. It bolts to the lower portion of the frame. Go ahead and take that bolt out. It gives you some wiggle room to be able to move things around and such if you're not taking the actual exhaust off. Some people might take the exhaust off. That's probably gonna make things quicker, but I'm gonna do it the hard way because there's probably a lot of people that don't want to take the exhaust off, and it is doable. It's just a pain. So with that loose, it gives you a little bit of room to get the master cylinder pushed forward a little bit while you still have access to it. Go ahead and get your cotter pin in so you don't have to do it behind the exhaust. So you don't want to obviously put this bracket in at an angle because you'll mess up those threads. So just kind of wiggle the master cylinder a little bit, and you can kind of just push this forward a little bit. You don't want to put a bunch of pressure on it, and it'll sneak behind the exhaust there. It's on, it's lined up, perfect. Make sure you get your brake line comes out of the groove that it's meant to be in, so make sure you get it put back in the correct groove. It'll make more sense once you're under here messing with it. Get that tightened back up. This 5/16 bolt coming out really did make things pretty easy. If I'd have done it from the beginning, it would have saved some time. All right, next you're gonna wanna grab the nut that they provide, and they want it at 20 foot-pounds. This is gonna be a 5/16 Allen. So 20 foot-pounds. Get your 2 master cylinder bolts back in, put a little Loctite on there. Alright, time to put the foot assembly on. The instructions doesn't tell you everything on there. I'm assuming they did a redesign update, so to speak. So they include this aluminum spacer, and I'm only assuming that they provided it in order to push this away from the frame so it's not gonna hit your exhaust. I'm guessing they probably had a few complaints. I did see some people online having to make these out of just random stuff, so I'm guessing Arlen Ness heard all their complaints and redesign this. Mine will not need that with my Pisani exhaust. So they come with 2 sets of 2 bolts. So per the instructions, it says the 1¼ inch goes to the top hole and the 1¾ inch goes to the bottom hole. Now, if you use the spacer, those bolts will be too short. So they also include another set of bolts, and the measurements are gonna be 1.5 inches for the top hole and 2 inches for the bottom hole. So it looks like they add 1/4 inch per bolt if you were to use the spacer. Again, I don't need to use the spacer, so I'm just gonna go with what the instruction says. By not using the spacer, it allows your linkage to be more parallel to each other with the heim joints. Not that that will be a huge difference between the two, but I'd like to keep it as close as possible. Again, I don't need the spacer. I'm gonna ride it for a little bit if for some reason it feels like my foot's too close to the engine and I need it to come out a 1/4 inch. I got the spacer and bolts and I can always swap them out. It's gonna be the 5/16 Allens. And again, the 1 1/4 is gonna go in the top hole. These are gonna both be torqued to 30 foot-pounds. Now you're gonna install the adjustment arm. What I did was just unscrew both of the heim joints off and then rotated them on about 5 or 6 complete turns each. You don't wanna cut it too short where you only have a couple threads holding on, because then it's gonna be pretty weak, to be honest. So I probably have the threads about 3/4 of the way into the heim joint, so I can make final adjustments on the bike. Just judging and looking at it, just guessing, it's probably 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch too short, which worst case, you know, you can make your own. I mean, it sucks that you spend $1,000 on mid controls and you already gotta mess around with stuff like this. And then on the actual arm, just gonna go and put this bolt. So the bolt's gonna be a 1/2 inch. They want both of these torqued down to 18 foot-pounds. All right, once you get the linkage on, it's gonna be the 1/2 inch for the bolt, and then it's gonna be a 3/16 Allen for the front. It's all gonna be personal preference. I can't tell you how you're gonna like it, so you can mess around with that. Open end wrench, you can make adjustments as needed. I'm gonna put some miles on it. I know some people are saying that they're not a big fan of where it's positioned. They wanted to see it up higher, and just looking at it, I kinda agree. But we'll see how it feels for a little while, and then if I gotta make any adjustments or modifications or anything like that, then I will do so and let you guys know. All right, for the flow peg, it's gonna be a 1/4 inch Allen. Yourself a screwdriver or a pick tool and straighten it out a little bit. Foot peg bolt is going to be a 9/16 nut. It's going to be a 5/16 Allen. And the mini floorboard is going to be a H6 Allen. Alright, on the left side we're going to use the 5/16. Get the floorboard off. I didn't get a scale to weigh the difference between the stock and these Arlen Ness, but there is a substantial amount of difference. Probably like 4 pounds per side lighter going with the Arlen Ness. So if you're big time into weight savings, alright, you're going to take your 3/16 Allen and get the shifter off. And then you're going to pull this rubber bushing. Alright, you're going to grab the shift spacer that they provide. Make sure it slides onto the lip. There's about a 1/4 inch of the shift shaft sticking out there. Push on that. Let's see, it'll sit flush against the actual case. Alright, grab your inner shift lever. They want it oriented at the 1 o'clock. So if you have this perfectly straight up and down, this does kick to the right a little bit, so that'll give you that 1 o'clock. And then the bolt that comes with it is a 3/16 Allen, and they want it torqued to 10 foot-pounds. Clean your threads, makes things so much easier. before you install the assembly on the left side, primary cover is going to be in the way to get access for the adjustment rod rear bolt. So I recommend you installing it on here before you install the assembly on the bike. It's going to make things a lot easier. You can still make the adjustments, you just keep the front end of the adjustment rod off. So just install it. Doesn't matter whichever end you want. These are going to be torqued down to 18 foot-pounds. This will be the 3/16 button head Allens. Alright, grab the assembly and your 5/16 bolt. This is another complaint that people have, the left side, there's only one bolt. There is this little nipple here, and there's a hole down here with no threads in it, so I can understand some of the bigger folks that want to stand up or stand on their foot peg, then get over on their bike. However you want to do it. People are different. I don't put all my weight on my left foot peg, and I'm not a bigger guy, so I'm not terribly concerned about it, to be honest. Alright, do your forward one, 3/16 bolt. Remember, the length of these adjustable rods are going to be personal preference. Just make sure you got enough threads in there for it to have a good bite. This is going to be tightened to 18 foot-pounds. This bottom bolt down here, the main one, is going to be tightened to 30 foot-pounds. There they are. Mid controls installed. Just sitting on it in the garage, I can already tell that those adjustment rods are too short. Arlen Ness, if you're listening to this, why couldn't you make those rods another ½ inch longer? So that's probably going to be what I'm going to end up doing, is making them longer. So stay tuned for that. Other than that, the quality seems fine, but it's pretty darn flush with the mini floorboard, so if you had a boot on, you could pretty much forget about trying to get your foot under there to shift up. So that's the biggest drawback, I think. I probably missed a couple tools that were needed. My apologies, the list at the beginning wasn't the greatest. But if you watch the whole video, you'll definitely hear all the tools that I was using as I was using them. So hope this video helped you guys. Let me know if you have any questions. Like, subscribe, comment, give the video a share. Later.